Okay, we got to start. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's my privilege to have you today and for us to have this wonderful conversation. Before we proceed, I would want us to understand that as the faculty, the lead faculty of this program, it is my responsibility to ensure that we are all on the same page and that no one is left behind during this process, right? So over the past days, you've received what most people in Africa may never be exposed to in their entire academic or professional journey. You've learned from pioneers, founders, CEOs, professors, physicians, researchers, and biophilosophers, especially frontline, one of the finest and frontline scientists, the some people shaping the future of human lifespan globally. So I would like us to first of all consolidate what they have discussed over the past few days, right? But before we get into that, I think it will be important that we take questions where you need clarity. Ask your question, you can unmute yourself, ask your question. If there is any question in the chat box, Duru Ninyechuku, can you help me to read the question? I think I saw some questions. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay. Peace Oluchi, she's asking a question. She said, according to Aubrey, he said that weak immune system can increase fertility. Is it right for women to have weak immune system? And can we say that every woman that have conceived have weak immune system? I think I have heard a similar thing from Barbara O'Neill, where she was explaining that the sperm cell is a link to human body. Maybe that explains why the immune system fights the developing embryo. So should women now have weak immune system to conceive? And is it not detrimental for women to have weak immune system? That's her number one question. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead with the number two question.
Okay, sir. I watched a Korean movie titled Meeting Me Softly. It was a cryogenic movie where a man and a woman was put in a freezing machine. Along the line, the doctor lost his memory. They were supposed to stay for 24 hours, but they ended up staying inside the cryonic machine for 20 years. When they came out, they look exactly as they were before entering the machine. Meanwhile, all their family members and friends have aged a lot. Is it just a movie? Is it okay to say that cold baths can make one look younger and stay healthy? Does longevity studies covers cryogenic experiments? Then her third question, according to Aubrey, he said that metabolism can be bad as well. How exactly? Because all I know about metabolism is chemical reactions in a living organism that sustain life, convert food into energy, and also the building block for cellular processes like growth, repair, and reproduction. In what way is metabolism bad? How do we prevent this bad aspect of metabolism? Then the fourth question, concerning meal plan, how do I plan a meal plan that can suit an individual based on their biological makeup and medical history? Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much. This question um, was asked a day after the program, and one of the things that most speakers or teachers always say is that they have a problem with Africans, especially when it comes to time. So I assured them that I'm going to manage the time religiously. So if you didn't have the time to ask questions, this is the right time for you to ask your questions. If I didn't do justice, or you feel that I didn't do justice to your question, you can go back to the YouTube. The community experts here would help us share in the WhatsApp group the classes per day. All right. So I don't want anybody to be left behind. It's very important because the essence of this training is to carry everybody along and ensure that no one is left behind. Okay, the first question has to do with immune system. That weak immune system can do what increase fertility. I don't necessarily agree with that because it is perspectivistic, scientifically speaking, and it is relative, right? Because I think most people seem to, if you listened well, there are places that most scientists don't agree with, especially when scientific postulation is coming from different or various worldview, and which is why I am saying that since Africans are genetically diverse, we need to understand ourselves. We don't seem to take time to understand ourselves. We are quick to adopt what is foreign, and that's something that I don't want to happen in our age and time. Practical example is the West. The West will tell you that the sunlight that gives me C is the early morning sun. But that's not completely true for African because we have melanin in our skin, as is between 10 to 4 p.m., 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So these are the discrepancies. When you don't understand your biology as a person, you find that difficult to comprehend. So when most people say that the weak immune system increase, most people always say that a weak immune system increase fertility because, excuse me, the immune system itself naturally reduces some of its aggressive reaction during conception and pregnancy. So I don't think it does attack sperm, the embryo, or any biological makeup necessary to ensure that that conception doesn't take place. So on the question on cryonics, I think I'm going to explain what cryonics is and why it is not actually our bone of contention when it comes to Afrolongevity, and why it is also necessary, right? When it comes to we can and how we can actually practice or make use of cryonics or cryopreservative, as the case may be. I'll try to explain this in a basic term without overburdening you with the technical concepts used. If you read the work, excuse me, let me see if I can get the work though. Have it there. If you read The Death of Death by Jose Cordero, and David Wood. David Wood will be teaching at the course of this program. So the death of death, a scientific possibility of physical immortality and its moral defense. You understand some of these ideas very well. So it's the foundation of cryonics understanding is based on a term called cryogenics. And cryogenics is simply the science of working with very low temperature, often below 150 degrees Celsius. Think of cryonics as the toolbox, right, that allow us to manipulate matters, living or non-living, in extreme cold mode, right? So scientists uses or in the longevity space that we use cryogenics to study how materials behave at low temperature, store biological samples, preserve cells, sperm, eggs, and seeds. So it is the general science, not necessarily focused on saving human, right? Now, from cryogenics, we get a term called cryopreservation, which is the biological application of cryogenics. So it is the biological technique built on top of cryogenics. So this involves using ultra-low temperatures to freeze and preserve living cells and tissues without destroying them. So I want to take it like step by step so that we don't confuse issues. Now, since we can use cryogenics and preserving embryo and eggs for IVF, can also use it for stem cell preservation, blood preservation, plant seed preservation, preserving some organs for transplantation or research. So cryopreservation is proven real and used every day in hospitals and labs. Now, from these two, we get into cryonics. Natasha, Jose Cordero, and so many of our speakers that feature in movies, including cyborg movies and all that, where cryonics was used. If you read the transhumanist manifestos, those interested should comment that on our group, WhatsApp group, and I will share the transhumanist manifesto. So if you read it, you seem to understand better on what cryonics is, right? And how it is being used. So in all this, cryonics is the future facing or speculative idea of preserving an entire human body, or at least the brain, after legal death, with the hope that future science will revive, repair, and restore the person, right? So this is not biological death. Legal death, I know most people in the longevity space, even the wife of, what's his name? One of our speakers, not Joe Biden, Jim Stroh, the wife of Jim Stroh, she was sick. She was not dead, like she was not biologically dead. So she signed up for legal death and she was cryopreserved, right? So cryonics has to do with that. And cryonics operates on three major assumptions. One, memory and identity are encoded in physical brain structure. If those structures are preserved well enough, they can theoretically be revived. I'm using the term, I'm using theoretically. Most people in the transhumanist space won't appreciate me using theoretical. They would say must, because they think it's possible, right? Then number two is that future technologies like nanomedicine, advanced bioengineering, artificial general intelligence driven, used or that could be used also may restore damaged cells. So like Barbara, the wife of Jim Stroh, in her case, the assumption is that some of the issues that she had that time, that they can use emerging technologies and cutting edge technology to provide solutions. She's not the first person. I know at least 8 person that must have been preserved. And if you go to the Cryonics Institute, where the husband of Natasha Vitamore was the CEO, you can see a whole lot of persons that are preserved there. They didn't die biologically, they signed up for it. So it's expensive. I always tell them that in Nigeria and most part of Africa, we might not really need that, because you are preserving someone, and ESCOM, let's say in South Africa, is telling you that they have load shedding of 2 hours. Then before you come back, the person will really die the biological death. Or in Nigeria, where they'll say even the NEPA takes light in what do we call it, in Asorok. Before you come back, the person is already biologically dead. So it becomes a problem for innovations like this. The third aspect of it is that is not binary, right? So in transhumanism, they believe that that is a biological process. If the structure of the brain, for instance, is intact, they argue that the person is not gone. They are just inaccessible with today medicine and innovation. So with future breakthrough, you can revive the person. For this reason, instead of using rest in peace, which some of you saw my post when Barbara died on Facebook. So for this reason, I'm a member of transhumanism, but we have two branches, right? I am part of the, I used to be the Christian transhumanist before I left Christian transhumanism, and I stick to biological life extension in the transhumanist group. So for this reason, instead of using rest in peace, the transhumanists use rest in suspension, right? So meaning that you are not dead in the final sense, you are suspended in an irreversible state. Your story is paused, not ended, all right? So this actually follows the transhumanist idea that death is an engineering problem, right? And that is what Jose Cordero and David Wood tried to solve in the book, The Death of Death, which is the scientific possibility of physical immortality and its moral defense. So when you are suspended, then what is then the next phase? I'm trying to answer this question holistically so that people don't feel a type of way. So we have something known as digital resurrection. I don't know if you've heard this term, but when you start reading some books or the works of Chogbu Abdul, we have strong transhumanists, two top transhumanists in Nigeria. From Nigeria, one is lecturing at the University of Cape Town, is a Nigerian lady, and she is well known and respected in the transhumanist space. And Chogbu Abdul, the first Nigerian to write his PhD in transhumanism in Nigeria. So beyond freezing body, transhumanists explore the digital sides, which is digital resurrection, right? And it is the idea that a human person or a human machine or human animal, these are three different things, the memories, the personality, the patterns and behavior, and the data can be restructured using advanced AI, brain scan, or uploaded neural maps. We've heard of neural links. Most of us know about that. So these are two major pathways that they can use, either using mind uploading, that is transferring the brain structure into a digital structure, or using AI reconstruction, which is a kind of using data traces, you know, because they'll first of all clone the voice and other messages and written behavior. They now use AI to rebuild a functional digital version of that person, encoded to the uploaded mind already. So if you listen to some of my posts, or my arguments against this is that our vision is to have a human person and not a human animal or human machine, because once it moves from biological composition to infusion of biology into machine, we are no longer a human being. It's something that they need to understand. We need to understand the moral implication of some of the advancements. So this digital self for the transhumanists could survive physical death, continue learning, exist in virtual world, be transferred into transfer from one body to the other, from what, like, we upgrade computers and everything. You need to be in some of these debates. Sometimes it doesn't really sound good. It sounds as if we are now trying to create some species and all that. So there are concepts like digital hibernation, which is a kind of creating a digital backup of your mind or cognitive pattern. When you want to pause it, you pause it. When you want to start operating, you start operating. So these are the key things that makes up the holistic understanding of what cryonics, cryopreservative, cryogenics is. But I think there are good things that we can actually take from the idea of cryonics. I wouldn't say let's just discard everything, especially when it comes to drug discovery, right? Long-term storage of cells used in testing could be preserved so that we look at how it interacts over the years, including things like having something like stable biobanks of tissues and disease models, um, experiment that you cannot actually reproduce or redo. You can use the cryonics model to store them. So for organ preservation, one of the things that Brenda and I pitched in Madrid, when we pitched to Mestis, because we needed mobile hospitals in Nigeria. So we were saying that, okay, due to too many organ harvests going place in Africa and all that, most people don't know. People will just disappear, think it's money ritual. They're using them for organ harvesting. So business. So cryopreservation could play a vital role in reducing this hazard, right? Where we have gotten to the age of using so many tools, biological tools, to reclone or rebuild using just the stem cells. So Afrolongevity is not primarily focused. I've mentioned this over and over again. I'll keep on mentioning it. We are not really focused on this because our major focus is finding our own paths and not really relying on some of all these things that they bore us with. We have our own immediate problems that we need to solve, and we need to focus on that. So cryogenics, in summary, cryogenics is the science of extreme cold. Cryopreservation is the practical technique of freezing biological materials. And cryonics is the future dream of freezing the entire human body for revival. And then digital restoration and digital hibernation explore mind preservation beyond biology. So this is all what it is. And I think that is one of the things that they try exploring in that Korea. I don't know if I was able to answer the question. Then the third question has to do with metabolism. Yes, metabolism can be very bad when you have metabolic disruption. When you are not, when your metabolic pathway is not sequencing or acting the way it should act. When the pathway is not clearing and you are inundating it with eating now and then or anything that comes your way, when you are eating what you want instead of what your body needs, that is when metabolism becomes bad, the disruption, right? So the last question here has to do with meal plan. If you've been following me for some time now, you will agree with me that I've said this time without numbering that there is nothing like a balanced diet. A diet is balanced based on your metabolic health. Our biology is disposed or predisposed differently. What you've eaten over the years and what I have eaten over the years might not be the same. Our lifestyle model might be different. So for you to design a meal plan for someone, you need to have the person's health data, understand what the person must have accumulated over the years, and find a way to rewrite the patterns. So, and if you want to introduce anybody to any model, take it step by step at a time and don't just force them into a system that might be very, very disruptive to their health. I don't know if I was able to address the questions. Okay. Juru, please ask other questions, please. Check if there are other questions there.
Okay, sir. Yes, there is another question. Thank you for answering the question so far. And she acknowledged that yes, you answered her question. Okay, Hillary is asking, he said, I see posts on Facebook about what people should eat based on their blood group. How true is this? For example, people with blood group O should eat lots of meat for protein, while blood group AB should eat plenty of fruits. What can you say about this, sir?
That is fluke. That's not science. I've answered that question severally. There's this lady that tagged me severally on that. It's just fluke. There's nothing like that, right? And this is why. It's just like saying that people should. The major thing that changes things like genotype, right? It's you can't find the issue of genotype everywhere globally. It's common to malaria endemic places or countries or nations, as the case may be. So what you need to focus on is your genetic and evolutionary nutrition. And I'm going to take my time in explaining what that means tonight. I just want to make sure that people are okay from what or that instructors must have taught us over a few days from 14th till now. So, Mr. Hillary, that is fluke, and that's not true. Okay, any other question?
Yes, sir. There's another question from Mr. Sonny. He said, please, is there any kind of laboratory test that will bring out the exact chronological age of someone?
Yes. Nigeria is a very horrible country. We don't have anything like epigenetic clock in Nigeria. So I wanted to bring that last year in partnership with True Diagnostics. They have one of the best aging clock, and we wanted to offer it at a very cheaper rate in Lagos. I think Dr. Ifunanya is here. She'll allude to this. Do you know that they brought those equipment into Lagos, and because the immigration didn't they didn't understand the language of bribe, the immigration wanted bribe, and they sent them back. In fact, the College of Medicine wanted to file a case against them, and I was to be dragged into the whole thing. And I spoke with my dad. I didn't want to further that. My dad said, the Nigerian system is so corrupt, don't get yourself into that. With experience, Nigerians seems to be excited about anything. No matter how good your intention is, a lot of people wouldn't like what you do. No matter how, people would always either you are feeling you want to be this and all that. So the tools used are things like epigenetic clock or what we call exogene sequencing. However, no matter how the challenge is, in the nearest future, I plan to have such in this country called Nigeria. I'm going to have that, and those who are interested would come for it. Yeah, there are, but I don't think we have that in Nigeria. Thank you. Questions? Yeah. Okonkwo, you wanted to ask something. Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good morning, depending on your time zone. Doug, before I ask my question, I must commend your perseverance, your time in everything you're doing to see that Afrolongevity gets to the level you want it to be in Africa. It's not easy. The time and energy and the financial investment you put into this is commendable. So once again, I say thank you. My people will say Jiseke. Now my question.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Doc. Now my question is just a very simple one. My question is on Moringa. At times I feel, don't get me wrong, but I just had to ask this question. At times I feel that all these natural herbs are being overhyped. So let me just go straight to the point. What do you think about someone who has been on Moringa for a better part of his or her life and still came down with cancer? Please, can you just in a simple term explain that to me? Thank you. Hello, did you get my question?
I got your question.
Thank you.
I won't lie. I don't. Intellectual humility is very important.
Yeah.
When I did during my time, when I did precision medicine and drug development, the cancer class was the most difficult class for me because it comes with different models, especially when it comes to things like mutation of that type of cancer, right? So I had to I had to reach out to a friend, a female friend from India, who is very, very good when it comes to cancer. So she was the one that helped me to pass that course very well. I nearly cried. I cried, not I nearly, I cried. Okay, now back to your question.
Okay.
Moringa. When you say moringa, where did they grow the moringa? What aspect how did the person use the moringa? These are one of the things that I'm going to address today in my class, because most people, one of the things that one of the driver and activator of cancer is something that we don't really look at in details. These are the core things that I pay attention during our cancer class, right? So the drivers and the activator are the key movers of these cancer issues. And also, if the predisposition is high in proportion, then it becomes a problem. I've argued for a long time that most of the chronic and terminal diseases we have today in Africa are not really genetic. What happened was that we changed our genetic makeup with foreign foods, and through epigenetics, it was encoded. It came into our system, and then we transfer it to the next person. In today, there are high chances, especially because of the high rate of microplastics. In recent research, 2 years ago, which I think 3 years ago, 2020, okay, 2 years ago, 2023, and which I captured in my presentation in Germany, I think there are a lot of microplastics now found in breast milk. Imagine breast milk. Amidst the filter, look at what is happening. And this could be also drivers for cancers. And you'll be asking, how is that possible? Recently, tetracycline has been found in food that we eat. I mean chicken, because most people use tetracycline to give to their broiler, cockerel, and all that. It poses a health challenge. So you can be taking moringa and also be exposed to food that accelerates cancer replication, and then it becomes an issue. You are subtracting and adding more. Meantime, there should be synergy in the herbs that you are taking. And you should also understand if the synergistic model that you are applying is good for your own health. Now, I don't think that moringa was really, really common in the eastern side of Nigeria, in Igbo land. It wasn't that common. We had our own food that helps to slow down cancer and its replication, and even lifestyle, but we want to have medicine. We want to have medicine, and we don't want to really pay attention to food or feeding model that incorporates medicinal properties every day of our life. But yeah, that's just one of the problems, right? So I think it is a lifestyle complication, and too much of adoption of Western model that puts us in this position. Maybe after my teaching, you might get a clearer view on my explanation. So you can ask more questions if I didn't capture it the way or I didn't say what you wanted to hear.
No, thank you. I don't have, to be honest, you said a lot. Thank you for answering the question. Though I still have to. I look forward to your lecture so that I can learn more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chisom.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank God I am in class today. I missed the last lecture. So, on microplastics, thank God you mentioned it. I had wanted to ask question on it. I I made some videos on my platforms because I grow vegetables, and sometimes I grow them on old used buckets and things that would usually throw away at home. I just use them to grow. And somebody commented, these Western people or Igbo people commented on my YouTube and said they they liked the idea, the fact that I was creative with growing vegetables, but they can't eat vegetables that are grown in buckets due to microplastics. So I thought about it for a second. I said, is that possible that you grow vegetables in buckets and these vegetables will in them contain microplastics through the buckets? So I don't know if you have any answer regarding that. And again, you said something very beautiful that
There
most
are
of those causes are from foreign, the way we shift from our local indigenous food to foreign food, which have some epigenetic shifts in our lives. And some of them too are not just all we copied from foreign people. Like this moi moi now, you see a lot of people eat moi moi, and this moi moi are wrapped in waterproof, and that's one way we get some of these microplastics. And you see a lot of people selling that, people are eating them. These days, I don't even eat it again. I may like moi moi, but due to how they are prepared, I might not be able to eat it because of the nylon. Not even mention the sachet water, the pure water that we drink. All of
Chisom,
these.
your voice is breaking. I don't know if it's from my.
I don't know. Can anyone else hear me?
Hello?
I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Let me answer your let me answer your question quickly. In the longevity space, I think after this class, we can make some adjustments. We had a sperm analysis that we did sometime in the past, and we discovered lots of microplastics in the sperm. And it is quite unfortunate that most of our people don't fancy most people here, especially women in this conversation, in this class, can't boast of preparing 90% of their traditional or indigenous food. I mean, the way it should be prepared, the way their grandparents prepared them. Most people, and it is bringing in this sense of laziness, right? Where people would want to really, it's late. Let's just go and get something let's grab something to eat. And the people with the worst lifestyle model are mainly doctors, especially in Africa. At the IHE Congress, when I was invited to speak in Cape Town, so I went to the backstage to snap pictures. Most of the doctors and clinicians, they came there with pizzas and Coke, Pepsi, and all that. And I went there, and some of them spoke against this thing. And they will hide at the back of the stage to eat it. So I snapped those things. I uploaded it to my presentation. I added it to my presentation. And at the start of my presentation, I projected it. I said, well, it's not all about talking about this thing. Passing through this place, I saw some persons. I saw some pizzas. I don't know if the people that brought those pizzas, their airlines and all that. So now you see, it's a problem because again, the doctor-patient ratio in Nigeria, you see most doctors taking carbonated drinks and all that. These are problems. And tomorrow, some of you here will still go and buy food with the most poisonous thing that contains that engineer microplastic, which is the takeaway, the foil takeaway. have to use, I don't want to use scientific term for it. You still use it and then buy food. You are accelerating your aging because it's shortening the telomeres in the cell. You have only 100 and something rackets of telomeres in your system. And now when you shorten it, you shorten your lifespan. It depends on what you eat and how you eat them. In the longevity community, they don't allow plastic bottled water in the plastics. So it must be in glass. Aubrey will not even take that from you. It must be in glass. Once again, it is very dangerous to cook with plastics. So we classify what we call waterproof and everything as plastics, right? So it is very dangerous to cook with plastics. It is very dangerous to eat with plastic plates. It is very dangerous to eat. Most of the things you call fancy ceramics plates, they are plastics, those fragile ones, not the real ceramics. And these are problematic to your health. Sometimes our ancestors, I always tell them when I want to argue in Western stage, I always tell them, listen, we've been here before you, we've lived more than you. So you should be learning from us, right? And that's why Aubrey encouraged me to continue being strong in my position and to put my people in the global longevity maps. Okay, now I think the best way to store herbal infusion, or do those things that you're talking about, is using jar. Jars, yeah, or bottle. But I think you can use jar or even use wood. You ask a carpenter to, even if it's old sharp, then you put it at the edges of where you stay. So people are scared of microplastic because even our soil is so polluted. I'm scared that people are using high concentrated chemicals. People no longer want to cut the grass. They use chemical to kill all those things and all that. At the end of the day, it seeps inside the crop and the plant, causing problems. Remember that most plants already contains indigestible carbohydrates, right? Contains indigestible carbohydrates. So you need to try as much as possible to reduce the risk of having more problems. I've not even started my teaching today. It has been a whole lot of explanation and questions and all that. Okay, let's continue. Loretta.
Good evening, everyone.
Loretta, go ahead with your question, or you type your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Loretta. So my question is, since I've been following an Afrolongevity, I've been following the taking herbal drinks like morning tea, clove, cinnamon, and the rest of them. So I want to ask, is making garlic tea good for the elderly? Please, that's my question. Is making garlic tea good for the
Yes.
elderly?
Yeah, garlic tea. At the course of my presentation, I'm going to address the type of infusion and how to make that, what each represents, how you can use them, and when. So,
Okay.
thank you. Let me hop into my views. 50 minutes already. Good. So, can I start my presentation today, please? So before I start, I need to do something quickly because I ought to. That's how I operate, incidentally. So for those who were unable to make it in previous classes, The one we talked about, the foundation of Afrolongevity, Brenda pitched it, talked about what we do in Afrolongevity and where we are heading to, introducing the shift from chronological aging to biological age. And a lot of things we were able to learn a lot from my friend who talked about selenium and brain health. So this is why it is very important to be in class and to connect the dots when you are in class, right? So he talked about metabolism, how it produces damage, damage accumulation over time, pathology of damage, and so on and so forth. So the next day, Aubrey de Grey emphasized that Africa's #1 medical problem is aging. We can't forget that. Because aging is the foundation of all chronic diseases. So he explained the 7 deadly types of damage. He mentioned cell loss, division of the obsessed cells, death-resistant cells, mitochondrial mutation, intracellular waste, extracellular waste, extracellular matrix, and all that. He also he explained the solutions to that. He mentioned things like stem cell replacement, telomerase control, suicidal gene, mitochondria backup, foreign enzymes, immune remover, cross-line, introducing cross-line breakers, right? He also compared geriatrics, which is treating late life pathology, versus gerontology, studying the process, and then introduce the maintenance, which is bridging these two. That is where longevity comes in. So he stressed on these simple facts. I mean, Aubrey, if we treat aging damage, like if we can prevent accumulation of damage or treat aging damage early, we prevent age-related diseases entirely. And then by doing so, improve the quality of life of the people, right? Our brother Joe Badin and Jim Stroh talked about their program, People's Unlimited, and everything, and how Afrolongevity is part of the Coalition for Radical Life Extension community. So then, hope I'm not forgetting anything. Dominic Thor, the president of Geneva College of Longevity Science, talk about frameworks, right? He addressed, I asked a question that has to do with the Africa's open drug market, fake drug, and he made it clear on that day that if Africa does not build ethical, structured system, will always consume what others produce, even the worst, right? So the next day we had Professor Stefan Lawrence talking about data, the future of geopolitics. He talked about, he stressed that without data, Africa cannot participate in the longevity economy. I asked some questions that day, and he tried his best in answering them. So one of the most complex class was the one of Didier yesterday, where he talked about health data, and we tried picturing an Africa where all health data is anonymized and used for research, not politics. That is the summary of Didier's message. And if you were unable to take something, make sense out of what he tried explaining, that's something you need to go home with. So Tesfahum talked about practical clinical longevity for Africa, early intervention, biomarker, lifestyle modification, the medicalization of aging, what Africa can adopt. So he emphasized that longevity does not require high income economy before adoption. What we need first is what? The structure for longevity. So yesterday too, Dr. Delilah Kamdich, a medical doctor and a colleague in the Longevity Education Hub, talked about the need for epigenetic clocks, understanding inflamed aging, geroprotector, immunosenescence, biogerontology, biomarkers of aging, why early intervention is cheaper than late treatment. And she showed us AI-driven longevity medicine. We all saw that yesterday. And diagnostic pathways, right? That can work even in developing and underdeveloping communities. So in summary, like trying to gather what we've learned over the days, we can say that aging is the root cause of everything. Damage is also measurable. Intervention is possible. Prevention is cheaper. System is very important. And we are building system already. People are here. People who are willing and ready to learn, they are here. So that's the way, that's also part of building a system. Data matters. You cannot succeed without data, right measurement, right number. Africa is genetically diverse. Pythagoras who said that universe is composed of numbers. So without number, you're on your own. Ethics also matters. You know, we need to ethical usage and application of science and technology used to be the mantra of TFFDS, you know, and that is our value proposition. That used to be the value proposition when I started TAFFD in 2018. So mindset also matters, where we talk about the impact of religion and other things. And Africa has an unprecedented opportunity to position itself, because we are not yet trapped like the West. We are still closer to our biodiversity, and we don't have this rigid medical structure. So we can build something new, we can innovate, we can leapfrog, and we can lead. Because I've always argued that the origin of humanity is indeed its future, right? So now we'll get into my presentation. Sorry. Let's go into my presentation proper. Sorry. This. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So today we'll be talking about herbalism, genetic and evolutionary, genetic nutrition, and genetic and evolutionary nutrition for healthy longevity. So this topic is very important to me, and I've done a lot of research on this, and it's something that I want Africa to offer the longevity community. And this presentation would be very, very important for people who want to start practicing basic herbalism, either for themselves or for their family, or taking care, using herbs in taking care of their, or in solving their immediate problems. Right? As you can see, I come from various backgrounds, moved from business to philosophy, then longevity, and I sit on different boards, from the Harvard Business Review Advisory Council, to World Academy for Medical Sciences, and also a federated member of the International Longevity Alliance. So let's get to the conversation. Why this conversation matters? Because I think I started Afrolongevity because of the statement from World Health Organization of, as you know, 2020 to 2030, 2020, 2030 was declared as the aging decade of healthy aging globally. And we had nothing doing in Africa, and our life expectancy is low, and it's even predicted for those born in 2021, their life expectancy will be lower. Why is that prediction? Because they have looked at the policies in Africa, they have looked at the disinterestedness of politicians, they have looked at, how the African society is going, and they'll be like, no, these people are going to go through a lot. And after the a particular conference, I was asked a question, what am I doing about that? So if you look at the statistical reports about our average life expectancy, you will see that vividly well. And I said to myself, why not start something, since you have even added longevity in what you are doing with us? That's why I started Afrolongevity. Now, practicing this for a long time, I realized that, look, you need to do something different, and you need more people to actualize this dream. And I started collaboration. I started bringing people in. That's why you are also here. And the essence is for us to learn this thing, because we need to find a way to decentralize this knowledge. We need to find a way to ensure that people learn. Now, look around you, you see 1 or 2 persons suffering from chronic disease. Last 10 years, we didn't have people suffering from chronic disease. We've also seen the collapse, the effects of the collapse of indigenous nutrition, and the rise of synthetic supplementations, with, even though there is no proper bioequivalent or trials to even understand, because if we can say that plants that grew from different countries or different environments got different synergetical or impacts on the body, that the impact to the body depends on the environment. As Nigerians, whatever the minerals or the produce from our lands are designed for us, and what we've been eating over the years, our ancestors ate over the years, should be a reflection of who we are. Imagine if we start eating wrongly now, if we start adopting wrong food system now, as we are doing at the rate we are doing now, with the high number of or high risk of chronic disease already now, with poor infrastructure, like medical infrastructure, you can now picture how the future will look like in the next 20 years, where people don't care about their indigenous food. We are losing the African phytomedical knowledge, and most of our herbalists are being mistook as spiritualists, dibias, and being we sabotage them, and we want to think that they are not doing the right thing, and it becomes a problem. That is why we are where we are. Who is Africa by food as medicine? Like, it is, when you talk about who are Africans, Africans are people born in Africa, people with the ancestral heritage, people living in Africa. There is no different from someone, an African person living in the US that is being exposed to a very strange environment. You want to overflood yourself, and most people think that they are living longer. They are managing diseases, and because they found themselves in a system with good healthcare sector, We think that they are living a better life. No, they have problems and they are dealing with. So our food, our indigenous food, shaped our identity, microbiome inheritance, climate adaptation, climatic adaptation, and digestion, and also the phytochemical conditioning. This is just the foundation of our disposition and predisposition, which is lacking in this maintenance-based lifestyle model that we are living in this age and time. So why African food matters? Because our food is high in biodiversity. We have medicinal soups. We have fermentation tradition. Our foods, the apple, and most of the things that even the thing that alcohol that we normally take before, they used to be fermented. And all these things put together, most of them serve as anti-inflammation, encoded in that lifestyle. I think one of us here, the point of, she called herself the keto evangelist, a big keto evangelist. She can write that correctly in the comment section. She also do a whole lot of fermentation, and which is very good for our health. So being exposed to wrong genetic mismatch because of what we eat, modern food, it disrupts our ancestral DNA through epigenetic mismatch, right? So, oh my God, is that? So ultra-processed disrupt our metabolism, which is one of the things that Aubrey talk about. You guys must have seen me talk about that. I wanted to do something, but I had metabolic disruption. As a result of that, I was not able to do that. I pay attention to my body, and I'm very careful with regards to that. So hormones, we've seen a whole lot of women suffering from. We had a case, you know, a girl of 24, 25 years entering menopause. So it becomes a problem. Some of all these things never existed in the past, but it's becoming common because of the ultra-processed food that we eat. People start aging from birth, like from their womb, from the womb, sorry. The baby starts aging because of what the mother was eating and how it impacts. And people, I made a post about a sample during a field work. A child was born and immediately had what? Antibiotics resistant to one of the strongest antibiotics. How do you explain that? So it affects the immunity, the disposition to the body, and the aging pathways. Okay, sorry. Okay. So, because we are still at the peristine state, excuse me, please. Let me get something quickly. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? Hello,
Yes,
can you hear
sir,
me?
can you record, sir?
We can hear you.
I can hear you, sir. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, one of the admin, one of the co-hosts can record. I'm totally out of the thingy. But I'm streaming. Yeah. Okay, I can do that right now. Oh my God. Thank you so much. So African advantage, we know that we are still at the peristine state. We are closer to nature, which is one of the reasons when I was arguing against this genetic modification and all that. We've not used our land. We've not used like we did shift cultivation, and which is one of my problems with the idea of too much, where people talk about, you know, we consume things the wrong way in this part of the world. Whenever a trend comes up, we pick it without planning for the future. Look at where Europe is today, because they sold their property because of the surge of real estate at the 18th century and 19th century and late 20th century, where real estate was still at its peak. And during that, what we call it again, there is that epoch, what that epoch was called, and they sold a lot. Now it came to Africa, everybody want to sell everything. If not because of the bandits and Boko Haram, you will see some real estate company that will be selling Zambisa forest. They will even want to sell the Zambisa forest. We don't care about our future, what we eat. Our ancestors practice shift cultivation, and that type of farming helped the land and the soil to heal, regenerate, and rejuvenate properly for a healthy nutrient. But now we find ourselves in a position where you use a particular farmland today, use it tomorrow, you buy more, you buy a lot of not even minute fertilizers of different, without understanding the impact to your health. So, but I think Africa, we are still closer to our biodiversity, and we can make use of this opportunity, and we can, as a matter of urgency, step back a little bit, be closer to that biodiversity, maintain our genetic nutrition, maintain its epigenetics by eating right based on our evolutionary model and indigenous food, so as not to cause a problem or rewrite our genetic models, disposition and predisposition. Evolutionary nutrition aligns what most of people try to teach today, aligns with the teachings of evolutionary nutrition, because most of us that come from the village, you know, the father will leave home very early and go to the farm. The wife will now bring food to the man in the farm. And the food, they can bring that breakfast around 9. And that is what? That is intermittent fasting. Most people seem not to understand intermittent fasting. Now, if you eat your dinner around 6, for instance, or 5, and you are taking your breakfast at 9, that's intermittent fasting. Let's do the maths. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 15 hours window. And the best, when we talk about the best, we talk about things like when you eat like 10. But most of you who didn't understand this model very well, we want to start by eating from 12. There is a difference between hitting autophagy and then intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting helps for proper metabolism. I'm going to explain this and explain it in such a way that we understand it very well at the course of our class. Now, we have things that our ancestors availed themselves to. We have things like focusing on roots, herbs, seeds, and green veggies. Like they didn't have this fridge of a thing. In fact, they eat natural, and they didn't have this problem of microplastics. They had jars where they put their drinks, they cook their food. They have clays where they put their infusions and everything. They didn't eat every day there is fruit. They listen to nature. They have seen it all. They eat in season and out of season. If you check some of my posts, you will see where I classify fruits in their season and the reason why they exist in that season. This is what our ancestors listened to. They listened to nature and not to theories. They didn't want to manipulate. They wanted to follow nature's due diligence. So evolutionary nutrition, as a result, helps then in shaping our what? Our gene and its expression. Because when you follow through this process, you take care of your body, your biological makeup, and it makes it difficult for for disease-causing agents, which is the pathogen of the disease, to even come into your body, not to talk of the disease itself acting up. So most African food, African foods serve as a preventative care. There are people here that don't like bitter leaf soup, and they want you to wash it in such a way that even when you eat it, it tastes like a sweet Fanta Diallo. But that's not it. That's not the essence of bitter leaf soup. You need to eat bitter leaf soup and you feel the bitter taste because it is medicinal, right? I've said a lot about the need for black soup. People need to be eating black soup at least, let's say, monthly. The health implication of okazi soup and our fermented staples like our fufu, akpo, and all that, or our otaraji or otarede. What I mean is cocoyam and yam staple. I don't know where we got this idea that, and I don't know why people still believe that things like semovita and all that are healthier, or wheat are healthier than fermented staples. We are joking. So bitter leaf, you can see here, bitter leaf soup is, I call them medicinal soup because it is anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, immune regulator, and it's also serves as liver support, which is why I take at least 1 glass of spiced bitter leaf at least weekly. I have 1 glass. So black soup, on the other hand, is also antimicrobial, gut cleansing, detoxifying, and hormone regulator. It's a hormone regulator. And ogbono also control appetites. You know, when you are done eating ogbono soup is this soup that when you are eating it, you don't know. You can eat 4 loilo if you don't know how to regulate your portion eating. But when you are done eating it, you don't easily get hungry as such. So controls it balances the cholesterol, and it also supports the brain. Yeah, we are getting into the real conversation. I wanted to talk about herbalism, but I said to myself that instead of talking about herbalism, why not talk about botanicals? Now, herbs. Most people think that when you say you are a herbalist or you studied herbalism, it's just all about anything roots and all that. No, it's just all about the herbs. But botanical is a standardized model where you have to study even the plants, the roots, the bark, and the clinical implication, the scientific standards, and the drug interaction. It has to do with the whole plant therapeutics, understanding the synergistic compounds, and also how you can blend it if you want to make use of what we call holistic model. If you want to integrate it with pharmaceuticals, and then integrate it with lifestyle modulation. That's where botanical medicine comes in. So I tried to give you example, the difference between botanical and herbal. And sometimes there is what we call intergenerational knowledge. It plays a role in herbal medicine, and which is why one day in the group, I tried to say that there are things that works in traditional medicine where people, scientifically, it doesn't make sense, right? And someone tried to correct me. I said, because it transcends the scientific models, and which is why it's called traditional healing model. And because it doesn't make sense, most people call it folk healing, right? But to some, it is also working. True or false? True.
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 Great. So okay, so let's do a quick comparison between pharmaceuticals versus botanical. Don't kill me, but I have to say the way it is, and we need to understand it the way it is. Feel free to disagree. We are here to learn. Now, botanicals tend to have milder effects, and thus are best for treating only mild to moderate symptoms, which is why it is not necessary that you inundate yourself with the medication. There is always measurement. And in the past, people will say squeeze and take 2-3 drops. If you have been with traditional healers, I've done a lot of research from my market after my diploma in herbalism. I did a whole lot of field works, and I try to understand something, and I know when people are bringing in nonsense into it, right? So, excuse me. It should be taken step by step. It's not something that forces the body. It's understand with the body, and it takes baby steps of healing. So more severe symptoms needs to be treated with what? Pharmaceuticals. Now, I'm going to explain this very well. Let's look at active ingredients of these medications. The pharmaceutical uses one single active ingredient, while botanical uses multiple, because it's a composition of different phytochemistries and then ingredients. You know, one plant can have properties that attack up to or that solve up to 5 problems or more, depending. So it's got multiple, you know. Then their therapeutic effects, pharmaceuticals seems to be stronger, but botanicals are milder. So that's why I always advocate that you take it step by step. But for me, I think botanical will give you the needed result, because I feel that pharmaceuticals tend to do what makes some problems latent. And because it damages something to heal, I always advocate for botanical, or finding a meeting point between the two, right? So the potency of pharmaceuticals seems to be high, and for botanicals it's also high, and depending on how you follow the healing religiously, you will get a better results. Side effects on pharmaceuticals are high. The side effects are high, right? It's more, but botanicals are few, you know. And the therapeutic actions, I've mentioned that. The therapeutic actions of the both is the same thing as the therapeutic effects. So single, for the action for pharmaceutical is single, because the therapeutic effect is also single, and then for botanical is synergistic, and on the effect is milder, right? So the dosage is the dosage for pharmaceuticals are measured by pills, injections, and all that. But for botanicals, you measure by also pills. For those who might be interested in taking a more personal class on this, can teach them how to make the pills. It can move from pills, tincture, and tea, as the case may be. So that something is herbal or botanical doesn't mean that it doesn't have problems or it doesn't cause problems, right? So you need to also understand that how you use a herb, how you use herbs is very important. How you use botanical is very, very important. As sorry, the botanical is as important as how you use them. That is the right word that statement I've been looking for, right? So sorry, sorry. Am I sharing my screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, a picture.
Oh, no, sorry.
There's no screen.
Okay, thank you. The screen, sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah,
Not
we
yet.
can see it now.
Yes.
It's showing now, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So, I was trying to explain the pros and cons of pharmaceuticals and botanicals. So I said that for pharmaceutical, many patients prefer to take pills on a regular basis. There are people that when they come to you to talk about their problem, and you tell them, please subtract this, don't do this, don't do that, and you did not give them medication, they'll be like, are you sure this person knows what he is doing? People want you to give them medication. They want to go home with something. So that's a problem. But for botanicals, if you can integrate it into your everyday life for the tea and the tinctures or the pills, right? So the idea behind making pills for botanicals is that there are some persons that don't like taking bitter things. So you dry the herbs and then put it in capsules with the right measurements. Yeah, that's it. So pharmaceuticals seem to be stronger meds because it attacks stronger symptoms. Botanical is milder, it doesn't stress your body as such, but it gives you what you really want. The disadvantage is of pharmaceutical is it comes with undesirable side effects, and most people sometimes don't know, and it accumulates over time. Example, like NSAIDs that causes ulcer for women that are having menstrual issues and they regularly take Pelvin, they are predisposed to having ulcer. And people that take so much of some of the NACs, like diclofenacs and all other NACs, they are predisposed to having pulmonary edema in later years when they start getting old or aging. So for herbs, it's not always helpful in a critical situation, when you want to salvage things a little bit, then before you start taking it. But most people will deceive some persons without telling them the truth about this comparison, right? Which becomes a problem. let's get to the real problem, the real conversation. If most of the questions that you want to ask me regarding health, I'm discussing it here. You see this thing that looks like it is not important. This is the most important aspect of our conversation today. For those who are interested in herbs, all the herbalists in the room, all the people that have been calling herbalists in their house, pay attention now. Now, knowing herbs is one thing. Okay. Can you guys hear me? I want to make sure someone said they can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, sir.
We can hear you,
Yes,
sir.
can hear you very well.
We can hear
you, sir.
Can hear you very well.
Okay. Knowing herbs is one thing. Knowing how to combine herbs, that's where the work is. It's easier to say, I am a Yagbo. Okay. That child is really understanding what I'm saying. See that child now? That child is understanding now.
Yeah.
So, I want us to pay attention now. I will talk about botanical actions. I'm going to talk about botanical actions. This means how you are going to use herbs and what treatments that you can use it for. Botanical actions means how you can combine herbs. It's not just you speculate. All these people that I see on Facebook, they will say, if you want your machine gun to work 200 years, you have to put clove 200. You have to put this 30. You have to put ginger, garlic, and all that. You don't know that you might be stressing your biological terrain. What makes you to stand out is understanding botanical actions. That's what makes you a refined herbalist or botanical expert. So botanical actions are classified and divided into what we call adaptogen, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, astringents, carminatives, Jurassic. I love talking about Jurassic, and spectronets, and hepatic. This is for people that struggle with hepatitis and other things. So there are a lot of people that have asked me questions and all that. I didn't want to make the class so rowdy, maybe turn the chat group into where you prescribe medicine. People have already started saying that they don't know the intention I have, and with time that they're going to know the intention. Me, I'm here to help us. I don't even, because if I look at people's body language and postulation, then you know that you're not going to do this. You know, I know the value of my time. I also know the value of your time. For you to be here, it means that you value what is being said here. So let's start bit by bit. If you have pen, please pick it up now. I'll give us 3 minutes. If you don't have pen, please go get pen and come back. 3 minutes. Thank you. Okay, are we ready? I'm back. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
we are ready.
Okay, let's fire them. First is adaptogen. So adaptogen, that it helps that increases the body's ability to handle mental and physical stress. So their extract mechanism sometimes seems to be unclear, but they tend to impact stress hormones and immune system. So some of the examples, some of the herbs that you can use for adaptogen in preparing adaptogen, Panax ginseng, ashwagandha. Most of us know that. I think licorice and rhodiola helps. So some of all these things, if you struggle with the spellings, you can just at the end of the class message that on the WhatsApp group, and then I'll help you with that. If you need clearer conversation, then you can ask questions there so that others will learn. So I think another one there on the botanical action I should talk about is anti-inflammatory botanicals, like the anti-inflammatory or anti-inflammations helps in decreasing inflammation in our body. One of the things that I want you to understand is that if there's anything you'll go home with, there is, from the longevity viewpoint, not the traditional medicine, not the when I mean tradition, I don't mean botanicals and all that. I mean the mainstream medicine. There is nothing like there's nothing like arthritis mainly. Arthritis is an effect and not just a health issue. It's an effect of inflammation. Do you understand? And when at the later life, it accumulates so much via aging. So this anti-inflammatory reduces or decreases the inflammation. So instead of when your aging parents comes back, you buy them pain relief, you need to use more of anti-inflammatories, right? Like willow bark and turmeric. Turmeric tea is very important for people who always complain for body pains. You know, now let's look at antimicrobial. So many people who struggle with things like antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal issues, this antimicrobial contains these properties. How does it operate? It stimulates the immune response or inhibits growth of the pathogen, which is something that most pharmaceuticals don't pay attention. The pharmaceuticals don't look at the pathogen. Most pharmaceuticals don't look at the pathogen of the disease. They look at the symptoms, which is why, but this takes care of the disease-causing agents. Rosemary, thyme, tea tree oil, and cranberry handles this. I would want to talk about hepatic quickly. I don't think I'm going to cover all these botanical actions, so there are much. I'll just pick some and talk about the hepatic. So the hepatic botanicals help to protect and strengthen the liver, right? It protects the liver from toxins and has anti-inflammatory effects. The best two hepatics that you can find in every botanical course or books are milk thistles and dandelion. In Nigeria, for example, people don't know that dandelion is very good for hepatitis. Most people just, it's in their compound. They cut it off. Please mute yourself. If you are not speaking, kindly mute yourself. It's interfering. So milk thistles and the dandelion is very, very important with regards to that. So astringents that help to contract and tighten tissues, they are ideal. These herbs are ideal for healing. And if someone got things like skin cancer, they can use some of these astringents because it decreases the secretions and inflammations and promotes barrier normal functioning. You can use witch hazel, black tea, green tea, or yarrow. So it's not about knowing these herbs, but how to identify and place their proper botanical actions. Now, most people complain about bloating. Carminatives can help when it comes to bloating. Carminatives eases gas and bloating and also promotes digestion. It also helps in relaxing and soothing the muscles and also the guts, because the muscle gut barriers. And two important plants there are the parsley. I think it's common in so many herbal markets, and the peppermint. Peppermint is different from the main mint. Don't also go and buy the, what they call it, this the oil droplets. So buy the herbs itself or the dried herbs. But you also need to know where you are sourcing your herbs from, because people these days grind things and just tell you that it is that. You need to understand where you are sourcing your herbs from. Just looking for the most important thing here to talk about. Okay. There are two types of nervine when it comes to botanicals. Nervines are of two types. We have the stimulating nervine and the relaxing nervine. The stimulating nervine and help with fatigue, while the relaxing nervine promotes relaxations and eases anxiety. Right? So the stimulating nervine works by stimulating the nervous system, while the relaxing nervine works by relaxing the nervous systems. So for the stimulating nervine, you can use coffee. Use coffee. You can use green tea. You can use the herb known as guarana, spelled Guarana. So for the nervine, the relaxing nervine, you can use lemon balm. You can make use of passion flower. You can use the valerian, and yeah, you can use either of them. And if you need explanation on how to combine two or more botanicals that are of the same classification, you can ask that maybe after the class. Now, for people who are suffering from wounds, issues, and all that, they call them funeraries. Funeraries promote wound healing too by stimulating wound healing compound in skin and forming some sort of protective barrier. And the both of them all is aloe vera. So it's very important. Did I talk about spectronets? Spectronets? No. No, I didn't talk about it. Okay, sorry. Okay.
You didn't, sir. You didn't.
Okay. Expectorants help to expel. There are people blocked nose. Help to expel mucus from respiratory tracts. Things like thin mucus, some type of cough. You know. You can make use of eucalyptus plant for that, and that works perfectly well. Is there any other thing? I think demoscent. 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 There are people that suffer from skin irritation. Skin irritation. So these plants help to form a protective or soothing coat on irritated tissues. Some, it could be their private parts. It could be maybe because of sweat and all that, or dangerous colonization of staff in certain areas. You can make use of aloe vera. You can make use of marshmallow, which is very common. Slippery elm or calendula, spelled Calendula. So yeah, that's it for the. I think that is it for the botanical actions. My word, what are you doing? Sorry. Botanical actions. Okay, because of how complex this can be, I don't know if I should just take question before I proceed. What works, because we still have a long way to go, and yeah, I want to rush it quickly now. Should we take question now or at the end? Okay, let me continue. So, no comments? I don't want to be speaking for you. I want to make this very, very interactive.
At the end is better, sir.
Okay. So, the dietary supplement health education was introduced in this year, 1994. But one of the things that I don't like, from Western part of education is that they want to tell us that they introduce, because of citation, they introduce dietary health, Dietary Supplements Health Education Act. But we have been living it through intergenerational knowledge. We organize our things and we live well without having any problem. So most of these acts, Africa was not there. And when you want to go and study nutrition and dietary and all that, they will use this, their model, to give to you when you have different worldview and different reality, causing a problem here and there. And that's one of the things that, well, it's helped in some instances, but it didn't also help comprehensively. So the act allows marketing of supplements without Food and Drug Administration approval. So supplements shouldn't actually be regulated by NAFDAC, if that is the case, because it is not chemical properties like they are talking about something. It's just like me saying, and that's why it's almost written that the claim on this is not approved by FDA or SAPRA in South Africa. It's always written it's not approved by SAPRA. It's not a problem. But in Nigeria, if you do a product and say it's not approved by NAFDAC, I don't know if anybody will buy that product. NAFDAC is already interested because they want you to give them some money, right? So it holds manufacturers responsible for truthfulness of claim. You see that they don't want to put themselves into trouble, but they also do. They also look into what you are doing, and not necessarily controlling how you market what you are doing. So they also allow manufacturers to claim a product's effects, like the structure and the function. And they also hold manufacturers responsible for ensuring the safety and quality of the supplements. Why do we stress ourselves with all this? Here, by mama, we just cook with our traditional, all these things. In one of the books that we are working on, you will see that most of the compositions in some of all these things are in our indigenous food. So why these acts does not require FDA regulation of supplements, it does also hold them, the manufacturers, accountable for making valid claims. You look at the data, you have to make sure. That is why I've been clamoring on proper pharmacovigilance, because even NAFDAC, once they just give you the approval, they don't do the real field work to look at the impact of that medication in the life of people, which is a very big problem, excuse me. So let's quickly get into the real thing that I always like herbalists to do. You don't just wake up because you are a herbalist, or you think that you know herbs, or you are using internet to become an overnight herbalist. You just wake up to do things without using these three important modalities. you need to have the ability to assess, educate, and advise, right? It is very important to know when and when not to recommend botanicals to patients by just simply following the assess, educate, and advise model, which will help you to make a proper informed decisions. So the first step is to assess. You need to ask questions, proper and strong questions, before recommending a botanical. The first one is the question can be for you, or you can ask directly, because it will help you to listen to clues from the patient. The first one is my patient interested in taking a botanical? Is there scientific evidence to support its use, like the one that you want to give, because you need to understand the person's health history? You can ask questions like, what is the safety profile of the botanicals that you want to give? Then, are there contra that this one is based on the interaction. You look at, you ask questions on the contradictions of the use of that particular botanica that you want to issue to the, or give to to your patients. So with that, you can now consider questions like, can I avoid these side effects? Are there any cheaper options? Is there anything else? Like these are the clues that we play in the head of what? Your patients. Because when they start thinking in that direction, you need to understand, because when someone is not disposed, mental health also supports healing. When the person is not disposed, or when you force people to take what they don't intend taking, you are doing a disservice to them. You are not doing anything good to them. In fact, you are causing more problem. Then from there, when they start having doubts, you now take your time to educate them. Discuss the best using the clues, that are presented. You discuss the best botanical options that may help the patients. You present scientific evidence explaining all these things. You identify the risk and benefits. Then, with what I presented initially, you will now compare those botanicals with pharmaceutical options, because the person will tell you the medication they have been taking over the years for that same problem. Then you compare and you explain to the person why they should try botanical. Now, you now help your patient to select a quality product and discuss important safety concern. You have to suggest, if you know the right, because the problem in both in pharmaceuticals and herbal education is that you just tell people. You don't even tell them where to get the quality or the right herbs. It becomes a problem. People, after writing prescription, you go and buy medication from open drugs. They say this person doesn't know what he's doing. Substandard drugs are everywhere. Substandard herbal products are also everywhere. You need the right information. I have to suggest what type of products to look for, identify potential side effects and safety concern, then provide sources for more information, and also keep it open for conversations. Give them opportunity to ask you questions on which is very good, and when there is any side effects. Now, if you are trying to study botanicals, there are very, very important things that you need to do. There are a lot of software. I'll share some, or app used in studying plants. You know, think some of them you have to pay, then you snap a particular app and it gives you maybe the name or the properties, but that might not be 100% accurate. You need to have a more deeper knowledge to be able to isolate and know the properties that they contain. So herbal profiling is a very important aspects of studying botanicals. You need to know the name of the herbs, the common name, or what you call it in your place. Then you also need to know the form, description of the herbs, the physical forms such as the leaf, roots, the flowers, because these things functions differently, and most of them give different results, including also the back. Now, dosage is very important. Guidelines on the appropriate dosage for various applications and conditions. Then you look at the synergies of the herb, where you consider information on how the herb interacts with other herbs, enhancing its effectiveness and even sometimes problems, as the case may be. Now, the parts to use is very important. Which parts of the herb are used for medical purpose and why is very important. Preparation also, every herb, depending on the problem that you are faced with, you know, you prepare them differently, or you extract them differently. It might be by infusion, deconcoction, tincture, and syrup. Instruction on how to prepare the herbs for use must be very clear, and you must understand what you are doing and why you are doing what you are doing. Now, you also need to look at what modern research is saying about that herbs. Also look at the ancient use, you know, because the modern time expanded from the ancient use. But most times people move out totally from the ancient use, and it doesn't at such invalidate, because the ancient use must have lasted over time. And just because someone came and picked up a particular property and they stress more on that, most people tend to abandon the ancient use of that herb or botanical. Now, region. I try to explain this indirectly or implicitly. The region for which a botanical is gotten also plays a vital role. We spend time buying ginseng. Ginseng is very expensive. We have our own, just that we don't take our own serious. I saw in South Africa, in one pharmacy, these people, they are capsuling our own Nigerian bitter leaf. Our own Nigeria bitter leaf. They put it in capsule. There is nothing exceptional done there. I looked at it. I opened the capsule. I tested it. It was Onubu. Proper. So the corn silk too. Imagine corn silk. They are selling it very expensive, and it's sold in US For instance, you buy it from US and shave it in South Africa, things like that. Because we don't really appreciate what we have and we don't value what comes from our kitchen or from our compounds. Am I here already? Okay. We have explained that. Okay. Now, genetic nutrition and aging, evolutionary nutrition and health span. Before I jump into trying to wrap up my teaching, there is something that I would like to talk about, which is your role. Because after this class, most people, some of the healthcare professionals or herbalists here, or botanical experts, researchers, or nutritionists would like to practice some of all these things, but you need to really pay attention to this. As a healthcare provider or self-healthcare provider or family healthcare provider, like some of us, they mentioned that they call them herbalists in their house. You need to understand that botanical have the ability to affect the way a medication is metabolized. And also, it can also cause problem to the body. That is, if you don't use them the right way. Right? Sorry, I'm trying to if you don't use them the right way. Anytime you recommend a botanical for anybody, you are responsible for ensuring the safety of that person. Oversight is very important. You don't just tell people to go use things and you don't give them oversight. Be sure to have an accurate and current medication list for that person. All, don't miss out anything. The person health history. Any medication that have a narrow therapeutic window or that are critical to life, you need to minute them and then look at the window level that you give when it comes to telling them what to take. Now, you need to also have a detailed information on the person's blood pressure, the person's cholesterol, like you can ask them to run tests like that, cholesterol test, blood pressure, thyroid test, diabetic test. So you also need to have conversation to look at the emotions of the person and maybe cancel them if you can, or even recommend that they meet a counselor. Very important, because sometimes how our emotional disposition or predisposition hugely impacts our healing model or healing pathway. You also need to note any anti-seizure drug, chemotherapy agents, and any drug that interacts strongly on the person's system. So it is not just about telling person or knowing that this person have this problem and you just start telling the person you need to take this adaptive gene, you need to take this Jurassic, you need to take this hepatic, because you've known the profiling. So you have to be very careful. Because without the right information on how the botanical can interact or impact your patient, you'll be causing more problems to that person's health. So ensure that you follow properly. So when you eat, we've learned over the days about DNA methylation, stability, hormonal imbalance, and all that. Genetic nutrition helps you to reverse some of all those problems that is being caused by today's food, because you are eating what your body needs through genetic and evolutionary nutrition. You are eating what your body needs and not what your body wants. Now, we've talked about food as medicine. At the ILSA 2025, that was the consensus. And I think it also hinged on what was declared, or one of the conversations we had at the Dublin Declaration. So food is medicine because it doesn't even allow, when you eat right, when you eat with most of the medicinal plants that we have, or you have in your environment, you'll be able not to have some of the problems, the chronic and terminal diseases that we have now, because it helps to not give room for them to occur from the first place. So I've explained some of all these things. Sorry. Now, would like to explain the herbal longevity mechanism that we find in most of our indigenous plants. The first thing that we find, like you saw them at the course of the presentation, I mentioned that the MPK, right, which is the adenosine monophosphate active protein kinase. Most of us know what that means. It's like, I tried to explain this in the basic form. The AMPK is like the body's energy manager. Look at it this way. When your body is wasting energy or has too much sugar, the AMPK wakes up and says to your body, let's save energy, burn fats, and clean the body. So it helps, like bitter leaf and moringa help AMPK work better. So these are the things that we benefit from our indigenous herbs. So the NRF2, which is the nuclear factor erythroid 2 related factor 2. It is your body main protector. You know, when there is stress or toxin or inflammation, the NRF2 turns on and send out the antioxidants to protect the, it sends out the antioxidant to protect the body. So this is what helps, like turmeric, ginger, our own Oziza leaf contains, because it helps to activate, the NRF2. So the sixth pathway, it is of we have 3 pathways. This sit 1, 2, and 3. There are proteins There are proteins that repairs the body's steam. I'm trying to find a very basic way to explain it. In simple time, they fix damaged DNA by slowing aging and helping the body to stay young. So most of the plants that contains or activates this are like cloves, bitter leaf 2, and let's say our scent leaf, you know. So they help in making this possible. So the autophagy, which is where these things like intermittent fasting comes in. I think all of us know that it's a composition of two words, the self, which is the auto, and the phagy, which is eating. There's self-eating. It's autophagy means self-cleaning in simple terms. So this is where metabolism sits. You know, you need to fast, and sometimes during the fasting you take bitter herbs to accelerate that and support quick autophagy. So the core of this is mitochondria renewal. It's only men don't transfer mitochondria DNA to their kids. The woman, I think women transfer the mitochondria DNA to their son. So mitochondria renewal, DNA conversation is something that is very important. The way you treat your wife, you predispose your wife determines the health and the type of son or sons that she's going to give birth to. I just want to chip that one in. I've written so much about that. So, but for mitochondrial renewal, we all know that our mitochondria are like tiny batteries inside every cell. Those who did biology and know this, that's the basic, simplest way to explain this, because we have people who are coming from different backgrounds and field of studies. So some of these herbs that I listed initially from our own indigenous food plants, like the bitter leaves and all that, helps your body to repair those weak batteries and make new ones. So you have more energy because if you have more energies, you can stay stronger and also live longer. So our indigenous plants helps in waking up the part of our body that based on what I've listed, that clean, repair, protect, energize, and then slow down aging. Yeah, explain that. So that brings us to the end of my presentation. If you have questions, if you have questions, you can ask. I'm really exhausted, but you can ask. It's been a marathon. Okay, ask.
Good evening, Doc. Thank you very much for the intensive lecture. I really appreciate that. So it's not it's not really coming as a question. It's coming based on a relative that has complained something to me. So I have a relation who has been battling with recurrent malaria. The person takes anti-malaria like every 2 weeks, sometimes every month. Minimal is, I think the minimum is every 2 weeks. The person takes anti-malaria. And I complained. I was like, this is very wrong. Why are you abusing this drug? Then he said that if he doesn't take it, he will start feeling feverish and then come down with constipation. So when I saw your post some months ago, and the person also had recurrent staphylococcus and E. coli. It's been reoccurring. So when I saw your post some months ago on ginger shots and its effects and everything, so I made a ginger shot for the person with that prescription, the measurement and everything from the post. I used it to make it for the person. So when I sent it to the person, I think the person drank it for 2 months and within that space of 2 months he didn't take anti-malaria. But he complained one day that he said something one day that he went to work, started feeling dizzy and then palpitations. I said, okay, are you taking any medications? He said no, that he hasn't taken anti-malaria, but he just takes, I've forgotten the name of the medication he mentioned, but it's regarding high blood pressure. But he takes it just to manage it. Then after the 2 months, he stopped taking the ginger shots. We are back to square one of taking anti-malaria every 2 weeks. And it's giving me concern because this person is in his 60s, late 60s. So, sir, what do you advise? What is the problem? Should I still make another ginger shot, or is there any other remedy we can do to salvage the situation?
Did you ask the person's lifestyle model?
Yes, he eats healthy. No,
What
he
do you
doesn't.
mean by eating healthy?
Okay, sorry. He eats whole foods, natural foods, less processed food. He doesn't take carbonated drinks. He doesn't drink alcohol. Okay, he eats bread once in a while. He doesn't smoke. Another thing, he rarely sleeps at night based because of his profession. He's always awake reading. He's a lawyer. He does that one is the one he doesn't really sleep. But he doesn't eat processed food, sir.
Okay, so the thing is that you are also managing the whole thing and trying to boost or support the immune system without looking at the pathogen of the malaria, or who is that? Okay, so without understanding, you've not really taken care of the malaria. Next, another thing that I want you to understand, that even if you finish treating malaria with anti-malaria, I made a post and I tagged one of my friends that I always help sometimes in developing protocol. It's a medical doctor here in Nigeria. We talked about something. Even if you take anti-malaria, right, you will still have the false positive or whatever. Why? Because most people will just go and run the malaria test, and they don't take time to even run infection tests. You just say, I'm feeling sick. You go to the lab, I want to check. They will check malaria and typhoid. And you go back, you say, anytime I check, it's showing malaria and typhoid. That's what you do the wider test. And that is what they will look at. We don't, because they assume that an average Nigerian doesn't have money. When you go, look at if you have any other underlying health condition, if there is an infection interference in that person's health, then maybe you can link the person up so that we can talk.
Okay, sir. I will do that. Thank you very much, sir.
It's all right. Next question, please. Please, Duru, if you are here, can you help me read some of the because my master student. Please, go for evolutionary nutrition, please. Thank you. Like, you guys should go. I need people there. or genetic nutrition. We need people there. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I have a question too, similar to what the last person just said. I have an auntie of mine that is always coming down with malaria too, malaria and typhoid almost all the time. And it's not always,
Sorry, your
it's not
name. Your
okay.
name.
I'm Chapsi, calling from Nigeria, Port Harcourt precisely, or talking from Port Harcourt.
Okay, fire.
Chapsi. Okay. As I was saying, this lady, she's my auntie. She's always having malaria and typhoid let me say every 2 weeks or at most monthly. That is one. Then she has teeth problem. Almost all her teeth now are seriously infected to the point that she has spent so much money in doing filling that they call tooth canal or teeth canal or something like that. And even after the canal now, she's also having issue. In fact, last week she was telling me as if they should go and remove the whole teeth. Then her eyes too, she has eye problem that from time to time the eyes will be paining her seriously. They have gone to places and stuffs like that. Now, the problem is, or the question I want to ask is, she has done almost all the tests that she can, because personally, I've taken her to a particular doctor of mine that I know checked her on everything and nothing serious. So I don't know. I don't know whether the eyes, the teeth, and the body has correlation or whatever. I don't know. Right now, we are just confused. We don't even know what to do. That is one, because my mother died of cancer last year, of which before she died of that cancer, for almost 2 years to 5 years, she always fell sick. And when she goes to the hospital, just as you are teaching now, they always check of typhoid and malaria. An average Nigerian will always be having typhoid and malaria. So many a times she'll just complain that she's sick, she's losing appetite and all that. When she gets to the hospital, they only take her of typhoid and malaria. And that's what we keep on doing, not until the cancer got to stage 4. That's uterine cancer that we didn't even know. So at that stage, she started losing weight and losing appetite and stuff like that. I was not with her, but we do talk on phone. So she used to describe how the thing used to do her. So I now told her that go to the hospital, and this time around, don't go and come back. Stay in the hospital. Let them examine you. If it means you staying for 1 week or so. So she now stayed in the hospital for that day, and probably might have told them what I said, that they should check out everything. So that was the day they tried to check her. In fact, even that day, they couldn't check her well. They just say infection and all that. She came back. But that day she came back, my elder sister visited and discovered her stomach was swelling in the night. She now said, Mom, your stomach is swelling. Oh, let's go back to the hospital. So it was then, as they went to the hospital, they now checked her and discovered that she has cancer of the, I think, uterus or something like that. So by the time they did their CT scan, whatever, it was already in stage 4. It has metastasized and all that. And within 2 weeks, she passed on. She has died. So being that thing happened and I became scared, each time my auntie is sick, in fact, I don't know. So I now told her, go and do all these tests, cancer, liver, kidney, and all that. She did. But nothing is tangible about the whole test. As I'm talking to you right now, she's passing through pains of eyes, teeth, and typhoid and malaria. And we don't even know what the problem is.
Why is she eating?
Well,
What is her diet like?
Her diet is just normal Nigerian diet, truly. Because I tried to preach to her since
did she started eating those diets? Nigerians start doing diets when they have problem, and when you add, they say my diet is this. But what you have been eating.
Okay, when I said Nigerian diet, I'm not even saying she's living a healthy lifestyle. By Nigerian diet, I mean she's careless about what she eats, because since I started following you for almost a year now, and people like Doctor of the Future and even Peace that is here, like this ketogenic Peace, like there's this lady following you that is even talking more here. She could hear me now. I also follow her. I think this ketogenic, this Peace, I think something like that. So I started talking to her concerning some certain things, I said, you should leave this. Sometimes when I see some of these things, I'll share it for her. When she listens, she said, some of these things, they are lies and all that. So what I'm trying to say is she hasn't stopped taking carbonated drinks. Let me be specific. She just tried to reduce it, but she do take Maltina. She take all this like fruit juice, all these carbonated drinks from time to time. She takes them without caution. Then she eats as she likes. She eats seed oil. In fact, she's just living her life, as in she's not just being mindful about, because when I tell her that vegetable oils are bad, she say, that's what people have been eating a long time ago. Why should I tell her now? So she fried things as she like with
Who told her
seed
that
oil.
people have been eating those things?
So that's just that. In fact, her
And she
lifestyle
drinks tea.
is not healthy. Let me just say it that way, because
Okay,
she feel they're all right.
it's all
She
right.
feel they're all right.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine. Maybe we talk about that later. She'll be fine. And if she doesn't want to, she doesn't like her life, then Rumi once said that the ground is always ready for people who want to fall. So that's it. So what we have to do is to look at what the person eats, because sugar even accelerates that, and yeah, so yeah, she'll be fine. So she just have to be careful. She just have to, because if the whole thing is getting worse and she doesn't care, then do you think that you love her more than she loves herself? So that's just it. So let's talk about it outside the meeting. Okonkwo, your question, please. And then the last question, Adedoja. Yeah, I'm knackered. Okay, Okonkwo, go ahead.
Doc, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Hello? Okonkwo is speaking. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, can you
Hello,
hear
I
me?
can hear you.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Is it a poor network again?
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I enjoyed it and I learned a lot. I heard you saying that I'm sorry about that, but I have to ask you.
Yeah, the network is bad. You can type your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Oh my God. What happened? Okay, Itoro, please ask your question. I'm
Okay,
going to
good
send
evening,
some
sir.
material. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Continue.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I wanted to ask in the line of chronic disease, and then are there permanent treatment plan for chronic disease like HIV, hepatitis, and then developmental disabilities and learning challenges like autism, cerebral palsy?
That's a very strong question. There are things that I cannot really say here. For obvious reasons. We have been working on HIV protocol, with Professor Zibe, and there are a lot of results. There is someone also currently that I am supervising. I'm looking at the HABA protocol for HIV, doing a very strong clinical trial, and it looks promising. I don't want to start talking about people's products here. Let it not be as if that I just organize people to sell products. Remember that I was almost accused of doing that. So I've never intended doing that. So there is everything in nature. And I think that it's all about time and commitment. The most important thing is to slow down the viral load and then find a way to take it. It's viral infection, HIV. Hepatitis B is also something that we looked at when Professor Ezibe presented his medicine at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Yeah, so yeah, there is the cerebral palsy that you mentioned. It is all about understanding the person, and of course, most times there is no one-way traffic, but I think there are also helps that helps in modulating those things. You know, we are streaming directly from here to YouTube. There are things that I will also say here now, and it will affect everything that we've done. So you can talk to me privately on this.
Okay, sir.
I
Thank
hope
you so
you
much.
understand.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other question? Okay, Austin, please ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. I've asked this question on the platform. I wouldn't know whether you want to answer this privately because this is a very controversial question.
Okay, ask.
I say about vaccine.
Ask if it is so. If it is so controversial.
Well, let me throw it here. If you want, let me throw it here. If it's something that you need to take privately, then I can meet you privately. It has to do with vaccine for children. We have a lot of, even in the US, it's a big controversial. Researches are going on the efficacy of vaccines for children. And some are saying there's a relationship between autism and some vaccines. The Amish community in the US, they don't take vaccines, and there are hardly any person that is found with autism in that community. So I don't know what you advise us. We are all talking about longevity in Africa. I wish to take some caution in giving vaccine to our children. Is this something that we can talk about, or is this something that we just need to take it the way they are for the children that we have? Thank you.
There is a vaccine that I took, and I regretted ever taking it in my entire life. I took it for some sort of stupid reasons because of certain things. I'll just give you a practical example. Most people are more susceptible to sickness after taking the COVID-19 vaccine. This is my personal opinion. Please, I don't want you to take it personal. But I'm telling you with facts. You know, most people are susceptible to sickness after, you know. I was sent by, if you check the website of WAMS, World Academy for Medical Sciences, I was one of the COVID-19 task force members sent to the World Health Organization. I asked series of questions. They sent me back. They didn't allow me to work with them. And it's also fine because I was asking questions around these things and its efficacy, and I was sent back. Anyways, they didn't remove my name, but they gave me the certificate. I didn't work, but it is what it is. We all know that your gaze is as good as mine. Yes, the same thing that they do with baby food formula. These are just corporate backed science, and most of the time, it's something that is so profit driven. There are some things that we need to really pay more attention to than what people are pushing to Africa, which is why we need to do more. After this, we need to look at how to fund research. We have researchers here, and I trust your capacity. We're going to do this together. We have to provide solutions, and we need to put our name in the history of time. So you see how I answered the question? I spoke about it. I didn't say anything concrete. Yeah, but it is what it is. Thank you. We can talk about this later.
I understand you very well.
Okay. So, Chinasa, your question, please.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma.
Thank you very much for this great lecture. My question is actually it's about my mom. She has breast cancer. She's been battling with it for like almost 8 years. She has taken about 33 or 35 chemos. Glory be to God, she's still alive.
Yeah.
Different type of chemos. Then she came down with an open wound, which we've been managing for like a year now, or more like a year now. And I don't know if there are some kind of herbal something that can help with the wound healing, because all she does is dressing of the wound, then
Okay.
she's not yeah,
I
she's
have
not
someone
done
that
any.
I have someone that I have someone that I have supervised their projects. I will give you their contact. Please DM me. They are doing something amazing, herbally,
Okay.
and you can contact them. Tell them that I directed you to them. 2 contacts I will give to you, and I also make other inquiry from the circle and people doing great things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okonkwo, finish your question.
Okay, thank you, Doc, for this wonderful presentation. Very detailed. I enjoyed it, and I gained a lot. Thank you. My number 1 question is, what would you advise somebody to combine orthodox medicine with herbal medicine? Because some people argue that the combination of both is not advisable. It's either you concentrate on one or you face the other one. That's number 1. I don't know if you answer one after the other, or I should ask all my questions.
Okay, on that, it depends on the window level. In the window, if I'm the one that is formulating a holistic protocol, I would say, depending, it's not everything that you combine, any ill health that you combine. I would say take herbal in the morning and then take the orthodox medicine at night. That's how I always, it depends on, but because most of the food we eat contains medicinal properties, and the concentration of the active ingredient determines the interaction or contradistinction.
Okay, thank you. My number 2 question is on bitter leaf. I heard you talking about that you do take bitter leaf water, that you take it once weekly, if I'm correct. So I want to ask, because I want to start taking it, and I've been battling with that thought for some time now, but I'm a little bit concerned about the quantity and the concentration to take at a particular time. So what's the advice on that?
I would say since you're taking it once in a week, just squeeze and take.
No, I'm not the one taking it once a week. I've not started. I heard you taking saying that you take it once a week.
No, I understand. I'm saying if you are to take it once a week.
Okay.
If you are to take it once a week, so you can take 1 glass, but you start with making it warm a little bit. Start with that.
Okay. Then number 3 question is, diabetes and hypertension are so endemic in our environment. And when you were talking about those antimicrobial, hepatic drugs, oxygen, and all, I was hoping and wishing you talk about drugs that can be used for herbal drugs that can be used for diabetes and hypertension, but I didn't hear you mention that. Can you talk about it if you have any idea about it?
diabetes and what again?
Any herbal medication for hypertension and diabetes, because these two diseases are so common in our environment.
Hypertension is more or less, it's not about thinking, it's all about stress and also how you eat, right? What you eat. That's hypertension. And for diabetes, I explained that, but there is a way I explained it, because type 2 diabetes, which is something that I spent a lot of time talking about, has to do with your eating model, right? And removing refined carbs, refined carbohydrates, and then ultra processed food, added sugars and all that. Then with autophagy, it declined. I think the professor that trained me on that is also on Facebook. You can read up her teachings on that. I think it's more or less about what you eat, portion eating, portion control, and what you take into your body. So it's not necessarily herbal thing. Most of the things that I would recommend there is also the bitter leaf will also help. But if you have low BP, or you have sugar, your sugar level is low, it can actually impact on that. So yeah, it's not really, there is no one size fitting or protocol for everybody. So in some cases, I try to be very careful not to say something that people would want to experiment or try and then cause problem. So I just don't go into details. So when people need more information, they can reach out to me privately. Then I can take more information from them about their health, then to develop a protocol, which I actually charge doing that.
Okay. My last but not the least is on arthritis. When you were talking about the anti-inflammatory component of it, you talked about using turmeric for arthritis. Then you talked about willow bat. What is willow bat? Can you expatiate more on it, please?
No, that is a herb. Those things
okay.
Can
you spell it?
So, but I can.
Can you spell it? Spell it.
Just the way it is being pronounced.
Okay.
But I'll give you a contact of person that if you want to buy it from the person, I'm nowhere connected with the person, but I know some person that sells some of all these local and international herbs that helps.
Okay, thank you. That's all for now.
Okay. Chinasa, do you still want to ask the last question? Oh, Bean have a question. Okay, Bean. You want to ask Bean because you've not asked.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Osi, to everyone. My question is about water. Just moments ago, we had this heated debate at home concerning water we consume. Now, there are some doctors who go around and they keep advising us not to consume tap water. That tap water contains a lot of chlorine. That we should consume or we should drink more of bottled water. Now, I have a bottle of water beside me. Now, looking at the content or the ingredients found inside the water. Pardon?
Yeah, you're going far. I'll give you an example. How many of you have noticed that Eva water, when you open it, it makes carbonated sound. It makes carbonated sound of recent.
Voila, it makes just like soda. Exactly.
Yes. How many of you, and people are not taking note of all these things. It wasn't like that before.
Now, my question is on the bottle of water that we are advised by some doctors to drink or some nutritionists. You see the list of ingredients there. You see it contains calcium, magnesium, potassium, bicarbonate, chlorose, sulfate, nitrate, sodium with their different percentages. And still on the same bottle, it is written that it is recommended by doctors and pediatricians for pregnant women and babies. I'm just confused. I don't even know the type of water to drink.
Which product is that?
It is a Supermon water. It's a
Nestle.
Cameroonian brand.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. That is corporate back science. Listen, if I travel home today, my home, I drink from my village stream. That's where I drink from. From my village stream. I don't have time for all those things, bro. Right? So people come and just say nonsense, things that doesn't make sense. And that's some people will encourage people to take what they call it flavored water and other forms of water. No.
Yes.
There's no, the tap water is that's the problem, basic problem of the government. The government should clean. If we need pipe-borne water, it should be washed and everything. It's better that you take those things than take what you are sure of than what you are not sure of. Corporate back science is very dangerous to our health.
Okay, doctor. Okay.
And even the people that talk about the quantity of water you take, the quality of water is good, then the quantity of water is depending on where you find yourself. You know that during the rainy season, people don't take a lot of water. But during dry season, you take a lot of water. Just make sure that you're properly hydrated and don't allow people to push you into moving from pillar to post.
Does that mean your intake of water, your quantity of water you take a day, it depends on your outdoor activities? Like someone who works indoors under the AC.
Your outdoor activities determine the quantity. Do you understand? Because you get more hydrated, and which is why it's not even good for you to be always inside. But if you are taking antibiotics and all that, you need to also increase your intake of water. If you have issues with issue with recurring infection, you need to be drinking a lot of water. There are conditions that predisposes you to taking a lot of water. If you have a particular issue, you need to be drinking a lot of water. So that is just it. If you don't trust the system, somebody just say my mind, you can boil the water, allow it simmer, and then pour it inside your whatever and be drinking.
Okay, doctor, the last question, please. What about these filters, these modern filters that you will buy that you can filter your water at home or in the office and drink? Is it still advisable?
Those filter is as good as useless oftentimes, because there are some bacteria can penetrate there. People just want to be innovative and then sell things, and some will give you something droplet to add to the water. And we've gone through a lot in this world. And some person will tell you that there are some bottle that when you put in water there, it kills and turns it to alkaline. Foul. It's all fluke, fake, all fake. According to Wiki, you say all fake. So the thing is that it's more better that you boil your water and drink them, allow them, then you drink. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
you can just buy the whole thing for fancy sake. People just buy it so that it will look as if you know what you are doing. When you don't, maybe you know what you are doing, but you don't know what is doing you. Yeah.
Okay, doctor. Okay, sir.
Am I taking all these questions tonight? Okay, Chinaza, back to you.
Good evening once again. Prof, my husband has this condition. I don't know if it's a condition. Excessive sweating. He sweats a lot. And because of that, the way he uses this antiperspirant and deodorant, it's becoming too much. Like he wakes up in the morning, afternoon, if every almost in a day, 10 times in a day or 8 times in a day. And I've been begging him to please, what are the ways? I don't know if there are natural methods of their herbs or whatever that can help reduce those sweats and something like that. I don't even know.
It might be of advantage to him. It might also be an underlying condition, but he should.
He said it's genetic. That they have it in their family. And my children, I noticed they also sweat a lot as well.
Yeah, it can, but it could be moderated too. But if it is strong genetic and there is no underlying condition, I would say, okay, you shouldn't stress about it. Yeah, you
It's the
shouldn't stress
excessive
about
use of
it.
the deodorant.
Why is he using it? Who is he trying to impress? The wife is not complaining. You are enjoying the sweat. So make una no stress us, I beg.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Peace. Fire down.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma.
Okay. I have a question, ma'am. I think you have answered part of the question, but because I've already raised my hand, I still want to ask. The first one is like the water that comes from the rock, or what we call spring water.
Spring water is good. And on the hierarchy of the good water, we have spring water as number one, then still water are followed.
Okay.
So that's
if I go to the village, sir, and I fetch such water, do I need to purify it in any way?
Unless you want to, but me, I don't, because I know the process that it takes is already clean. That's what I do. And when I drink it, I feel like a human being and not a robot. Thank you. Unless you are too sensitive to all those things, I'm a villager. So when I get all those, I'm excited. Even when I see the leaves, and people complain, I did typhoid. People in the city sick typhoid more than those in the village.
Okay, sir. Then my second question is this alkaline water. Just like you cited, even at this airport, like we collect liquids from passengers. So I see most of them, they'll say, no, they'll say this one is alkaline, this one is alkaline, that you can't take it from me. So I want to know this alkaline, where did they get it from? And what is it all about?
Those things are corporate backed science and sold by some of these networking company. So they tell you that alkaline bottled water is like 15,000, and then you have to put water and it changed. They will just use basic chemistry to confuse you. Get another water, and then they put litmus paper, it change color, and they'll tell you that, oh, you see, because it's bacteria. Then you put it to there, and then it's nonsense. These are nonsense. Your stomach has the number of acidity to control some of this thing. Anyways, I want to run now.
Sir.
I'm exhausted. I've been teaching since 7, 8, 9. It's almost 2 minutes to 10.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
I have a question, but I just have to give notes, sir. Please, bro.
Okay, ask. Let me just take it once and for all. Ask.
I think I will message you. I will message you privately, sir.
Okay,
yes,
people. Sir. If I didn't take your question, please apologies. Message me. Thank you so much. Okay, bye. I will send you guys some materials. So